Hello dear students, welcome to the next class of Principles of Inheritance and Variation. So in previous class we got to know that one. So Mendel was the first person to consider 1 to 3 characters at a time during hybridization experiments. So that was the secret of his success in genetic experiments, that is cross hybridization experiments. So only he is considered as the father of genetics. So Gregor John Mendel is considered as the father of genetics. And he conducted the experiments, that is the cross hybridization experiments over the pea plant continuously for 7 years. So before understanding why he selected that pea plant only for the cross hybridization experiments, why not the other plants? Let us acquaint or understand ourselves with two terms which are more oftenly used in genetics, that is nothing but the character and then the trait. So let us understand what is the difference between the character and then the trait. See, first, character means it is identifiable feature of any organism or any individual, that is called as character. So I will repeat once again, it is nothing but identifiable feature of the individual. Example, say for example, if I take the stem height of the plant, stem height of a plant as a character. Height of the stem or the stem height is an identifiable or observable feature of that individual plant. So stem height is a character of that plant. With respect to the character, what is trait then? If you know what is character means, then you can define the trait also. So trait is nothing but distinguishable feature of a character. Distinguishable feature of a character and its detectable variant. Let us understand this one with the help of the example. Same stem height is the example right here. Its alternate variants or detectable variants are only called as traits. Say for example, stem height has the two variants, detectable variants, that is nothing but here the tall and dwarf. Tall and dwarf. So here height of the stem is considered as a character. So trait means here distinguishable feature of a character and its detectable variant. Means what are the two detectable variants of the stem height? So height has two variants, either it will be tall or the dwarf. So here tall and dwarf indicates the two contrasting or detectable variants of a character called as stem height. Stem height is a character, tall and dwarf, these two are the variants or the traits of stem height as a character. Is it clear? So this is how every character will show its own traits or the contrasting or the opposite traits, right? Okay. Similarly, if you take the color of the flower is a character. Whether it is white or the violet, these two are the distinguishable feature of that flower, that is color of the flower. So white and violet becomes traits of that flower and color of the flower becomes character, like that. So these two are very important in order to understand the genetic experiments or the hybridization experiment carried out by the Mendel. So hope you have understood these two definitions now, what is character and what is trait. This will be asked for 2 marks. Okay, define a character and trait with suitable examples. Then you need to write the examples also. Okay. Then let's discuss now why the Mendel selected pea plant only for his experiments as an experimental plant. Why not the other plant? So you would have chosen the banana plant, you would have chosen the neem tree, you would have chosen tomato plant. So why not those plants? Why he selected only the pea plant? The reasons why Mendel selected the pea plant means, see, the pea plant has many distinctive alternate traits. Just now we got the meaning of trait, right? So here the P has means the P plant has many distinctive means which will be present only in that plant. Such alternate traits are present in more number. So here distinctive alternate traits are nothing but clear contrasting trait. So let us understand this with example of with one example. For example, here the pod color is considered. So if some parts will be green, means if one pea plant has green pod, means other will be having yellow. So here pod color has two distinct detectable variant, that is green pod and then the yellow pod. Like that, many distinctive alternate traits are present in pea plant. So only he selected that plant. That is one reason. You will come to know later what the pod means. Next, this pea plant produces large number of seeds. So production of large number of seeds is very important, and large number of offsprings is very important in order to get the results of the result or the observation of that particular experiments. So when the sampling size is more, then the chance of errors will be very less. So only he selected a plant which can produce large number of seeds, and that quality is also present in the pea plant only. And one more interesting feature is that this pea plant completes its life cycle in one season only. This one is the most important feature what he waited for or what he looked in that pea plant. Why? Because if it completes its life cycle in one season, he can study many generations of that plant in a short period of time. For example, if the plant lifespan itself is 10 years, means in order to study 3 generations, you need minimum 30 years of time. Is it possible? No, right? So how long we will be alive, we don't know, right? We will complete that experiment later then, right? So in order to get the result of that experiment, you have to choose a plant which or whose lifespan will be very less, and with other alternate features also. So pea plants can produce large number of seeds, and it can complete the life cycle in one season. So only studied the many aspects of the genetics over this plant within 7 years. Next, flowers of the pea plant show self-pollination. It can also be called as bud pollination. So that the anthers of any other plant will not be added to the pollen grains of any other plant will not be added to the stigma of the one pea plant. So pollen grains as well as the pollen grains which carry the male nucleus, and then the ovule which carry the female nucleus, both will be produced in the same plant flower, so that so they are true breeding, and as they carry out the self-pollination. So pea plants show self-pollination, and so they are called as the true breeding varieties of the pea plant. Next, it is very easy to artificially cross-pollinate the pea plants. They are true breeding one, right? So we can control the pollination in order to carry out the artificial cross-pollination in pea flowers, so that hybrids produced by such controlled artificial cross-pollination will be fertile in nature. So as it is easy to carry out the artificial cross-pollination in the pea plant flowers, and the hybrids produced, they are also found to be fertile. Because of these 4 reasons only, the Mendel selected pea plant for his experiment, that is cross hybridization experiments. Is it clear, guys? So this will be asked for 2 to 3 marks in PU examination, and also these 4 statements in different manner will be asked for the NEET and CET also. Okay, make a note of these points now. So, the Mendel conducted artificial pollination in the pea plants or cross pollination in the pea plants using a several true breeding or the pure lines. So why I have underlined that one means here Mendel carried out the hybridization experiments over the pea plants, we know, or the cross pollination experiments he carried out over the pea plant. So what he considered for that cross means he used several true breeding pure lines in pea plants. Then what do you mean by true breeding line or the pure line of a plant means? See, a true breeding line or the pure line means, this definition is very important for the NEET and CET as well as the PU examination. So a true breeding line or the pure line is nothing but the one plant or the individual which having undergone a continuous self-pollination means the plant or the individual which have undergone continuous self-pollination and shows a stable inheritance of the characters and expression of the same characters for several generation. Means what characters appears in the individual of the plant, the same characters without any differences or the changes will appear in next generation also, the next generation also, like that over several generation. Okay, it shows the stable inheritance of the characters and expression of the same characters over many generations. Such an individual is called as a true breeding line or the pure line. And how the true breeding line or the pure line is produced means by continuous self-pollination. And we know that one pea plants carry self-pollination. Okay, so he selected the pea plants and selected the true breeding varieties of the pea plants for many characters. So this is what the definition of the true breeding line or the pure line. Then how many such true breeding lines were selected by the Mendel for the experiments? He selected 14 true breeding varieties of the pea plants. How many true breeding varieties? 14 true breeding varieties of the pea plants. Here 14 varieties means in pairs, so they represent 7 only. 7 pairs of characters, 7 pairs of the true breeding varieties which are representing 7 characters only. So remember the initial discussion in today's class, that is character and the trait. The one character will have 2 traits, contrasting traits. So how many traits are the true breeding varieties he selected? 14. Means how many characters he selected? Only the 7. So one character carries 2 traits or the one pair of traits. So he selected 7 pairs of traits in the pea plant. So as pairs means each pair of the each plant will be similar except for one character with contrasting trait. What is the meaning of this sentence? So for example 14 true breeding plant varieties is selected and they are representing 7 pairs. In one pair of true breeding variety, say for example if you take the example of the plants which show variations or the variety for the stem height means both. So in 2 plants will be present for the one pair, right? Here in that one plant will be tall and one plant will be dwarf in the height and remaining characters will be same or similar to each other. So idra artha iste, in pair only one pair of true breeding varieties are considered. In that pair pair alli ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಟಾಲ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಡ್ವಾರ್ಫ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಆಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಟ್ರೈಟ್ಸು, ರಿಮೈನಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸು ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ದ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಒನ್. ಆಸ್ ಪೇರ್ಸ್ ದೇ ವರ್ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಒನ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್. ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಸಿಮಿಲಾರಿಟಿ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ರಿಮೈನಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಸಿಮಿಲಾರಿಟಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ with contrasting traits means for that one character they will be having contrasting traits. Example, if one is tall means other will be dwarf, but remaining characters will be similar to each other. So it means how many characters the Mendel selected means 14 true breeding varieties means he selected 7 characters in pea plants for his hybridization experiments. Make a note of this one so that we can discuss the 7 pairs of or the 7 characters what the Mendel selected for his experiments. So here is the list of 7 pairs of traits what Mendel selected in the pea plant for his experiment, or the 7 characters what he selected for the in the pea plant for the hybridization experiment. So this is what the a list of 7 pairs of traits the Mendel selected. In that first one, see, you can see the character and then the contrasting traits. Their contrasting traits are 2. If one is dominant means the other one will be the recessive. See, he selected here the seed shape, seed color, flower position, flower color, pod shape, pod color, and lastly the stem height as 7 characters in pea plants. Let us see one by one. See, in that list, first you can see the seed shape. Seed shape is a character. Seed shape is a character, and it has 2 contrasting traits. The one is dominant trait, nothing but the round, and its recessive one is called the recessive one is wrinkled. Okay, and you can see the shape of that seeds also, change in the shape of the seeds. If one is round means another one is wrinkled. So round shape is a dominant trait of that character, and wrinkled one is the recessive trait of that character called as a seed shape. Similarly, second one is seed color. The yellow color of the seed is a dominant trait, and then the green color of the seed means that is a recessive trait for the seed color. So here seed color is a character, and yellow or the green are the nothing but they are the traits of that seed color. Similarly, the flower color, next one is the flower color. Here violet color of the flower is the dominant trait for the flower color. The white colored flower is a recessive trait. Next is pod shape. Your pod shape, nothing but if it is full or the inflated, you can see how a full or the inflated pod appears without any ridges, right? But the recessive trait of the same character, that is pod shape, means it will be constricted. So you can see the constricted pod also there, pod, right? Constricted means it will be having the ridges over the pod. And next is pod color. If the pod color is green, that green is a dominant trait of the pod color. If the pod color is yellow means it is a recessive trait of the pod color. Pod color is a character. Its 2 traits, dominant and recessive, are nothing but here. That is green is the dominant and yellow is the recessive. Next is flower position. So where the flowers will be present in that or produced in that plant? What is their position in that plant? So here the axial position, if the flowers are produced at the axial points of the plants as shown in the diagram, it is a dominant trait of that character. And if it is produced at the terminal point or the apex of the plant means, then it is a recessive trait of the character called as flower position. Lastly, the stem height. So here the stem height is the character, and we already know that one, its alternating traits are nothing but the tall and dwarfness. Tallness or the tall is the dominant trait for the stem height, and dwarf is the recessive trait for the stem height. So this is what the 7 pairs of traits what Mendel selected in pea plants for its hybridization experiments. Then I have a question here. Is Mendel selected only the 7 pairs of the traits or the 7 characters in the pea plant? Means initially he selected 34 varieties of 34 true breeding varieties are the traits. Then he chosen only 22 and finally worked with 7 pairs of the traits. 7 pairs of traits are the 7 characters in the pea plant. Okay, make a note of these points now. Okay, later we will discuss some other aspects, why Mendel got succeeded in his experiments, or what is the reason behind the success of the Mendel's experiments. Thank you guys.